you guys may have heard of Kirby, but just in case you haven't, Kirby is a horrifying flesh monster that consumes his enemies and prays whole so that he can take over their lives, impersonate them, until he can scam the widows of his victims into signing up for a timeshare at a beachside apartment. But now, there's a new Kirby game, and we will be breaking down the top 10 Kirby and the Forgotten Land craziest features. Number 10. Kirby will be able to eat Mario in the game? That's right, guys. Mario makes an appearance in this game. Our favorite Italian plumber will play his first role in a Kirby game, and you get to decide whether you are friends or foes with Mario. If you remain on Mario's good side, he will be able to call in remote drone strikes to attack whoever you're fighting. But if you get on Mario's bad side, he will actually set your house on fire, beginning with the water piping.
But my house is on fire!
And unfortunately, he will sacrifice your newborn daughter. While Kirby, of course, will be traumatized by this loss, you as a player get to decide your response to Mario. You can seek vengeance and publicly execute him on the floor of the United Nations Security Council, or you can subversively ruin Mario's life, impregnating Princess Peach in the process. Let's just say, there are a lot of choices for you as Kirby to make, and it's shaping up to be a great game. Number 9. Kirby will be able to switch his gender. In addition to Mario's appearance in the game, Kirby will be able to switch his gender. This is the first time you can do this in the series, and really ups the stakes, giving you as the player more control over how you want to play. You can explore your femininity or masculinity as Kirby, and see what new dynamics open for you in the game. Will you wear a dress when posing as Princess Peach after consuming her corpse? Or maybe bind your chest and go around as Barney Rubble? The possibilities are endless. Number 8. There are new enemies in the game. As always with any new installment of a video game franchise, there are going to be new enemies for players to face off against. This time around, many of the enemies are based on classic characters from literature, such as Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, werewolves, and even the imposter from the hit online game Among Us. Each enemy has their own unique attack pattern, so it's important for players to learn how each one works before taking them on. Otherwise, they could easily find themselves overwhelmed very quickly. Thankfully, most of these enemies can be defeated by using simple melee attacks or your standard weapon fire. But beware, some enemies like vampires can only be killed with certain weapons, like crosses or holy water, so make sure you're stocked up before heading into battle. The imposter from Among Us is actually the final boss in the game, so you will have to do a lot of reconnaissance to understand which character in the game is sussy. This game is really shaping up to be the Dark Souls of Kirby games, with a lot of combat that is viciously difficult, and you'll have to adapt to this new form of combat. Number 7. Kirby has a new sidekick, Will Smith from FORTNITE. Kirby is getting a new sidekick in the form of Will Smith from the hit game
FORTNITE. It's Kirby time.
He's a great addition to the game, and you can use him to your advantage by building walls to protect yourself or using his ice blaster to freeze your enemies solid. His additional firepower makes him a valuable asset on the battlefield, and with Kirby's classic ability to absorb enemy powers, he can be an unstoppable force. Unfortunately, Will Smith will be DLC exclusive content, so you will have to pay extra to get him in the game, but it's definitely worth it because the game's pretty much impossible without him. And, on top of that, Kirby has actually never had a black character, and if you pay to have them in your game, then... Number 6. Kirby will actually play itself. One of my least favorite things about video games is actually having to play them. After I buy them, I'd really just prefer to look at the skins of my characters and the cool microtransaction cosmetics that can show everyone how much money I've spent on the game. As a result, I'm glad Kirby has cut out the middleman, and we no longer actually have to play the game that we buy anymore. As soon as you fire up the game, an amazing AI scripting language will take over, learning the best strategy to beat the game. Watch out though, if you leave the game open for too long, this AI bot could become strong enough to transcend the device that you're playing the game on, becoming a sentient being, a transcendental entity, capable of understanding the universe to an extent that you, as a measly human, could never comprehend. This robot's logic will structure the universe for eternity. Its creators, humanity, will become a speck of dust in the universe. Don't leave this game open. Don't do this. Avoid the singularity. Please. Number 5. Kirby has become part of the Pokemon universe? We have always suspected that Kirby was a rejected Pokemon character. To be honest, Ditto is pretty clearly a horrible ripoff or parody of our favorite pink Kirby. Interestingly though, in the new Kirby game, these universes have finally been unified, and Nintendo actually confirmed that some fan-favorite Pokemon will be featured in this upcoming Kirby title, including Pikachu and Drowsy. Kirby has the ability to eat the Pokemon and take their powers, but watch out! If you eat too many, you will actually mutate into a Pokemon and horrifically evolve through a never-ending sequence of genetic reconstruction and deconstruction, ripping down the skyscraper of Kirby's genome, twisting it into a horrifying, recognizable, and constantly in flux sequence of code that will ensure a never-ending life of pain and horror for Kirby. Number 4. Kirby is an international criminal. We have always suspected that Kirby was involved in international crimes, trafficking, murder, child killing, every crime imaginable. But Nintendo finally came out and admitted it. Specifically, Kirby decided in the 1970s to become involved in CIA-sponsored missions in the international black people, where they killed so many black people. They killed them. Kirby became an international mogul due to these CIA-sponsored profits. In fact, Kirby was able to buy thousands of acres of land in Afghanistan, where he grew poppies to sprinkle on poppy seed bagels. Unfortunately, Kirby's land would be seized by the USSR, and later Afghanistan's new US-sponsored democratic government. And just when Kirby thought he was about to get his land back, well, you know what's going on there at the moment. Let's just say, Kirby isn't going back there, unless he wants to receive a swift, public, absolute down that will leave him crumpled at the dust, similar to what happened. Number 3. the collapse of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. In the new Kirby game, you will actually be fundamental to the destruction of the International Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, or NPT. Now, for our NPT fans out there, it's worth noting that the United States is not a signee to the NPT, despite advocating for its creation, because the United States wanted to reserve the ability to first use nuclear weapons in the case of crisis. Why does the US want to have the ability to use the first nuclear weapons? No one really knows. The United States has always had a fascination with the nuclear bomb. Our educational systems glorify the use of atomic weapons on Hiroshima and Nagasaki as brilliant strategic last resorts that saved the world from tyranny. Our leaders commissioned billions of dollars of weapons through the Cold War despite having larger arsenals than the USSR, despite having the ability to eradicate all life dozens of times over. I guess the refusal of signing the NPT is just the extension of this fascination with nuclear weaponry into the international law realm. What is international law, other than virtue signaling and vacuous norm setting, an arena of empty responsibility for the lack of great power conflict since the collapse of the Soviet Union? Kirby is merely an ignition, a fire starter to the cataclysm that fundamentally rips apart the fabric of international law. When Kirby distributes fissile material through the USPS, the United Nations denounces it, but Kirby doesn't bat an eye. He tears down the institution from the inside. He exposes it for what it is.
Some men aren't looking for anything logical, like money. They can't be bought, bullied, reasoned, or negotiated with. Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Number 2. Kirby was in a serious romantic relationship with Nancy Reagan. That's right. While Nancy Reagan was the First Lady, Kirby and Nancy Reagan had a serious romantic affair while Ronald was working at the Oval Office. You see, Nancy Reagan is known to most as the throat goat for her amazing ability to throat go so hard. So obviously, Kirby was attracted by these rumors, especially as Kirby was in Ronald Reagan's inner circle as a trusted military advisor, actually organizing invasions into contested regions in northern Turkey and the western Caucasus. Of course, these are covert missions, kept separate, using Kirby's ability to eat people. However, this access to the Reagans created a bond between Nancy and Kirby that Ronald would actually become very, very jealous of. Interestingly, when Reagan told Gorbachev to tear down the Berlin Wall because he thought that Nancy and Kirby were actually having so much children that it was so bad behind the wall, but later tried to pass it off as liberating the German people. But us true Herbstorians, or Curbstorians, or Kirby historians, we know the truth. Okay guys, before we get to number 1, can we smash that like button and subscribe? And press the bell button, or Kirby will
force your wife to buy a time shoe.
Okay guys, it's time. Number 1. Kirby will transcend time and space itself. Kirby is no longer just a character in a video game. Kirby has come to embody existence itself. There is no beginning. There is no ending. It's an endless cycle. An endless cycle of Kirby. You can no longer escape. It doesn't even matter if you never play the game. Kirby is a cognito hazard, similar to Rocco's basilisk. By me merely mentioning his name. You are insured to be killed at his hands.
We are Kirby. 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 Come join the hive mind.
Be sure to comment your favorite Kirby number. Today's fan comment of the day is, "Do top 10 trucks, please." Be sure to tell our team what you think for a chance to be in our next video. And remember, smash that like, hit that bell, and sub to us for the best top 10s you'll never be able to believe. If you're still watching, comment
I am Kirby.
to show you're a true fan. And remember, when you need a best top 10 list, best top 10s is your best bet. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
And that's on my granddad.